Hello there, George.
Hey, Ian. Good to hear from you, son.
How are you doing today, our vegan master?
Yeah, I'm all good. Ready to answer whatever questions you throw towards me.
Alright, you're all zenned up?
I'm zenned up, mate. You know me, I'm always zenned up.
Awesome. Alright, so I remember last time we were speaking in Cafe Kino, I wanted to go more into, I think, a point you were highlighting how, a lot of veganism isn't just about food, and we all know that, and maybe we should extend the conversation now beyond food, as we have been talking about that for the past few interviews. And I guess so where we could start with is this whole notion of, people always think of animals as a lower intelligence and not being able to think the way we do, which is true to an extent, but with regards to feeling pain and sensing their environment and loving their fellow kin. Let's talk some more about that, and anything you have to say about any studies and things like that have come up.
Sure. Well, for a start, if you read into any evolutionary biology, for example, the work of Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins, for example, he calls animals survival machines. He calls all living beings, right, are what he calls survival machines.
Right.
Now, through evolution, our DNA has been programmed to keep us alive at all costs.
Yes.
So any sentient creature, that's us and animals, feel pain, and they feel it explicitly. Like, it's not some kind of little dull thing where it's just like, oh, this is quite bad, whatever, I need to avoid this. We all feel pain, real pain that could kill us, excruciating, whether we're a human, whether we're an animal. Animals have evolved that in order to survive. So they have very complex defense mechanisms in order to stay alive. And that brings me on to another point about how stupid it is when people say things. Say someone slaughters an animal or something, and there's like a child crying nearby, and they always try and comfort the child, and they say, don't worry, the animal served its purpose, or something like that.
Right.
No, the animal didn't serve its purpose. The animal's purpose was to stay alive at all costs. Mm-hmm. So when you kill an animal or harm them in any way, you deny that animal their purpose. We've all evolved to stay alive at all costs, and that's why we feel pain. And I'll go on to another thing as well. The reason we feel pain in such a way, whatever it is, and anguish and all the emotions we have, fear, jealousy, sadness, all that stuff, is because we are animals biologically.
Yeah.
These are animal emotions. So when people are like, oh, I wonder if animals ever feel human emotions. No, it's the other way around. It's humans have animal emotions. We feel pain because we are animals. We feel happiness because we are animals. This is just basic stuff to the animal kingdom.
Quite proven that, even through rigorous testing, you can see that a lot of the animals surrounding us have very highly evolved nervous systems, and we can see this even if we think about, say, sharks. The way they smell is so highly evolved beyond our capabilities. Dogs' hearing is evolved beyond our capabilities, and then we can talk about 100 other species of animals that have more highly evolved, senses or nervous systems than ourselves. So I agree with what you're saying. It's pretty ridiculous to think that their pain is just some kind of mechanical just reaction or something, my arm's cut, so my arm doesn't work, and that means it needs attending to, and that's disconnected from my perception or feeling or something. So yeah,
exactly.
Good points.
And a point I've even heard from biological professors and stuff before is you actually might find that animals who are of lower intelligence than other animals might feel pain in a way that we can't even comprehend, because we're so intelligent that we don't need as much of a red flag to say this is going to kill you. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, if I stuck a knife into you, right, you would know that's pretty dangerous. You wouldn't even need the pain right to tell you.
Don't do that, please.
When are we meeting again, Anne? No. But an animal of very low intelligence might feel that even more than we would, because their nervous system is saying, "Holy shit, this is bad!" Like,
they don't have that comprehension to
get that
perceive it
out
before it's going to happen. Yeah, all right, get you.
Exactly. So it needs to tell that animal to get away from that situation, to avoid it, so they stay alive at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just another, it's just more proof of what a ridiculous idea it is that animals don't suffer and don't feel pain. It's just ridiculous.
Well, there's obviously a lot more to be said about all this, and I think it does open up into a broader scope. But let's move on to something else, and I wanted to maybe talk about the cost of being vegan versus cost of not being vegan or being a carnist. Just to have that term carnist that's come up. So I mean, there's various numbers, statistics, and facts out there that show other things happening in our ecosystems, the environment in general, that are resulting from the way we eat. So we know that if you buy, if we know that if you buy a bottle of water, that actually costs more water to produce by trucks transporting around, using up the workforce that made that it's actually draining a lot of the water from our system. And in the same way with the food, a lot of people will turn around, there's this whole argument, vegans are eating a lot more plants and there's a lot more plants going to feed vegans. Well, and that's not true, because we have a mass amount of plants being fed to the animals that all gets then condensed into just a small amount of mass that then you can consume as a meat eater. And so, I mean, do you have any other sort of statistics or percentages that we can look at regarding the subsequent effects of eating meat?
Yeah, sure. With crops and water usage, it actually takes 10 times more crops to feed a meat eater than it does a vegan, due to all the crops, as you mentioned, used to raise livestock. And even you think about the land use, we clear an area of rainforest the size of 7 football pitches every second worldwide to make space for animal ag, whether that's grazing land for cows and stuff like that, or whether it's to grow soy. Because a lot of people will say stuff like, you vegans are causing the soy deforestation and stuff. We eat shit all soy compared to cows. Nothing. Vegans are like the least soy consuming people on the entire planet. Because I think it's about 92% of soy set aside worldwide is given to livestock.
Mm-hmm.
So humans only consume about 8% of something or something like that that's in products here and there that non-vegans are consuming anyway.
So
and
it's just misconstrued information that's getting utilised.
Yeah, Carlists love to associate foods with veganism as if they don't eat those foods themselves. Like, you see these ridiculous scare articles going around that they think they've got this great point to prove. It's like, vegans, you eating all this lettuce is environmentally damaging and stuff. They think they've got us, like, as if we consume all the lettuce. Vegans probably eat less lettuce than meat eaters. If you think about all the stuff they garnish, with lettuce, all the lettuce in all the burgers and stuff like that, and like, we might make a salad or something. A vegan might never put a lettuce in a salad. Like, they'll put a whole different array of plant foods and stuff.
Yeah, and that's it. That's something that you just triggered off there. That I think going vegan makes you look into eating it just extends your plethora of foods that you eat, because you don't just focus on eating that piece of meat every day for your dinner or for your lunch. You have to go out and find all these new things that you don't usually get from the standard American diet or standard English diet or whatever, standard meat eating diet.
And that's another thing. People who say a vegan diet is restricted, that is a surefire way of telling that person's diet is restricted.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are 20,000 edible plant species on Earth. And you can't even imagine what you'd eat if you gave up animal products. You eat the same 2, 3, 4 animals every week of your life.
Yeah.
There's 20,000 edible plant species out there, and you're telling us our diet's restricted. Wake up.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't know if you probably saw it, the Carnage movie that's been released by Simon Amstell. It's a BBC kind of mockumentary type movie, and I'll just give an overview of what it has for anyone who hasn't seen it. It goes into the theoretical future that in 2067 the whole world has gone vegan and does not consume any animal products and sees all animals as equals. So looking back, it goes through the years showing how we came from this meat-eating species and how distant and ridiculous that notion is compared to these theoretical current people who don't conceive that idea as being real, and so it's a good thing to bring out. The points that it raises are quite interesting. So have you got any thoughts on that movie that came up?
Yeah, it was a really good watch, and it's a shame that it was only available on iPlayer, and so all the vegans across the world had to have dodgy ways of looking at VPN and stuff like that, which most people aren't able to do. It was up on YouTube for a tiny bit and got taken down. Right. You could probably find it if you really wanted to. Yeah. But yeah, in any case, onto the actual discussion of the mockumentary itself, I thought it was really clever what Simon Amstell did by putting the viewer in the position of it's a barbaric practice that we're looking back on, because it forces people who are eating animal products to question what they're doing and look at it from a viewpoint of the people in the future. This is what people don't like to admit, but our species progresses morally, and people are lying to themselves if they think that funding the Holocaust of 150 billion animals every single year is the moral equivalent of just not doing it at all. Yeah. I mean, come on, it's pretty silly to say that. It's pretty silly when people say there's no difference morally from being vegan and eating meat. Come on, there actually is, and that is a moral progression that we will see. The number of vegans is snowballing, right? 360% rise in the number of vegans in the UK in the last decade. Yeah,
it's trending. It's becoming something that people are more aware of. It's not, there's obviously the real core of it is at this equality and what that sort of movie highlights, and around that we should change our whole worldview. But what's a good thing about it, it could be seen as a good thing or a bad thing, that it's trending in yoga communities or nutritional communities as being a nice quirky way of changing your eating habits and feeling better about yourself. So I feel like because that's trending, people will then in turn look at the deeper root of why this is happening or where it's coming from, what the ideologies behind it are.
Yeah, as you know, I would never try and promote veganism out and out on the selfish side, as in look what it can do for you. But it is lucky that we as vegans do have that on our side. It is lucky that even if veganism was less healthy than eating meat and stuff like that, I would still be a vegan because I believe it's my moral obligation to be vegan and not cause harm for animals when there's no real need to, right? But thankfully, we do have the bonuses and the healthy things on our side. There are just so many benefits personally from veganism that if people are a bit selfish, it just gives them that little bit of an extra push. Yeah, I'd be kind of lying. I'm completely in it for the animals now, but I would be lying if I said that when I was first hearing about veganism, that those selfish, there was a little bit of it, at least, that appealed to my selfish side and said, well, hang on, it can also lower my risk of heart disease and cancer and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
it gave me a little push. I would have done it for the animals anyway.
Yeah. But, and that's it in turn. When you help others, you do in turn help yourself. And so you can do these things without being selfish. And obviously if you do something selfish, it's only for yourself. But if you look to help anyone outside of yourself, it will make you feel better as a person regardless. So help everyone, help yourself.
Yeah, of course. Like that's the thing. That's why I call veganism a win-win-win-win situation, because it helps you, it helps animals, it helps the environment, and it even helps other humans.
There you go.
This is a point I should raise, actually. You've probably seen on Facebook I'm like the flipping biggest misanthrope going at the moment, right? All these idiots who jump on my statuses, like, put me on blast, condemning me and stuff, calling me like every name under the sun because of my views about humans and stuff. How does it feel that I'm doing more for humanity than you? That's what I would ask to those people. Because the diet I eat isn't starving the whole of Africa by seizing their grain and feeding its livestock to fatten up for pizza and stuff. My diet isn't causing rates of rape and violent crime to rise up in any areas. That's an interesting stat I'll give you. It's the University of Michigan and Windsor did a joint study, and it showed that in areas where slaughterhouses are set up, rates of rape and violent crime go up. Right. So as a direct result of slaughterhouse employment. So even vegans like me, who are massive misanthropes and don't even give a shit about the human race, we're doing more for all these a lot of these human rights activists who aren't vegan and condemn us for our misanthropic views towards humans.
Right, I see. Yeah, so that just goes hand in hand with the whole notion, which we know from studying psychopaths and serial killers. If you are raised or you continually participate in a violent atmosphere every day, you will develop violent tendencies and violent fantasies. It's just what happens. So we're having these people who every day have to do this job, and as a job you build up your anger, and they can actively take out their anger on other animals, other living sentient beings, and then that makes it kind of like a level of okay to do that at the workplace. So who says that's not going to just filter out into the outside world when they leave work? Exactly.
If you create a society where violence is normalised, you will in turn create a society where those very people who are acting out those violent acts to animals as if it's just normal and a done thing, of course they're going to carry, many of them are going to carry that out onto other humans. You become desensitised to it, and when it's just normalised like that, you're literally slitting a throat like every, someone who works in retail or at a pub or something, their job is just to take in money. It's literally like that to these people. It's like opening a till point.
I've got to slit 10,000 throats today. It's my quota.
Yeah, they don't even think about it. They just go home, go to sleep at night, and it's as if those animals are treated like objects, because we completely remove them of their individuality as well. Those animals come into the slaughterhouse every day by the thousands, and they've got ear tags on, and they've got numbers on their bodies, and all idea of personality is removed, and individuality is removed from those animals, and it just creates this sort of sense that bodies are ours to do what we please with. They're ours to stab, they're ours to rape, they're ours to harm in any way that we want.
Yeah, so it just keeps creating that notion. And so moving on, I want to, actually just go back to the Carnage movie for a second. I think there were some really good ideas in there, which can actually then be applied into the real world, and probably will then go to state that there should be more of this stuff coming out, more documentaries and movies made about veganism, because it would generate ideas, even if it's fictional in the program, it can be taken to real life. Just as how people going past the butcher shops are laying flowers down like it's in memory. That's quite a good idea. I could see people doing that as a way of bringing awareness to veganism in the real life, but that is just generated through the idea of it in the show. And also the idea that in the interview he turns to the interviewer and says, "Oh no, I'm not a vegan. They're Carlists."
Yeah,
and how
exactly.
That is like a turn point. Yeah.
We have to use the word vegan now, right? Because obviously, we make up about 1% of the world's population. So at the moment, there needs to be a word for it, but there shouldn't be a word for it. Just like there's not a word for people who abstain from harming dogs. You don't give them a name. If someone doesn't slit dogs' throats or doesn't pay to have cats' throats slit, there's not a term for those people.
Yeah.
There's a term for people that do it. So why would we need this term for people who just abstain from harming pigs and chickens and cows and
Which
sheep?
is exactly why it should be turned around. Usually, there is a term for the people who are doing the moral injustice, you know, or committing the crime. Those people get the term. You don't say, "Oh, I'm a non-rapist," you know, I'm a non-murderer. So people who are eating meat are contributing to the rape and slaughter of all these animals, and so I think they should have the term. They should be Carnists. You should be a Carnist if you're contributing to that. And we can all agree, like, as humans, we like to think we are naturally good people. So anything that is in line with that shouldn't have a term. It should just be part of our human nature. And so,
that's it. And all veganism is living in alignment with the core human values, the values that we actually claim to hold dear as a society.
Mm-hmm.
We violate those principles that we love to talk about every day. When we buy animal products, that's what we do. We go fully against the person that we believe we are.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of freaks you out, right? When you think that you and I personally, right, for the vast majority of our lives, we were not in any way living in accordance with those values that we talked about.
You're disconnected from it, and when you talk that from a young age, it becomes hidden. You almost don't have a standpoint or a cornerstone to say where you can operate from a good moral standing.
Yeah, and I mean, good people don't talk about kindness and compassion and love. They actually practice it.
Mm-hmm.
So all our lives, all we were doing was talking about how we were peaceful people and how we loved animals and how we believed in equality, when we were all along funding the most hateful, unjust and violent acts on the planet in history, without doubt. It's not even up for debate, in my opinion.
Right.
And I ask people this who want to say that there have been worse issues throughout history than what we do to animals. I say, do you acknowledge that animal agriculture is the largest systematic act of violence in history? And what can they even say to that?
So George, last bit before we wrap up, let's talk about where we can theorise that veganism is going to go and how it's going to interact with society in the coming years, because we do have, like we said, a lot more people getting into it through sort of meditation and yoga, nutritional aspects are coming together towards veganism and a plant-based diet. So what do you think is going to happen with that, with the mainstream media taking on veganism?
Unfortunately, we live in an extremely corporate world, and in an extremely corporate world there is a lot of corporate bullshit. Because if you look at the newspapers and the TV companies and the news stations or whatever, loads of them, well, pretty much all of them have corporate interests. And dairy and meat are huge industries. And that's why we're seeing so much propaganda at the moment. I don't know if you've noticed all the dairy propaganda out there this week.
Right.
Like, you go on BBC or you read the Metro and it's all over Facebook. You know, dairy-free diets are a huge health risk and stuff like that. So we have got a battle on our hands. But luckily, people are wising up. And
it makes people
I
do
saw
research,
a great
doesn't
quote
it?
the other day, actually.
Yeah.
There was some kind of bullshit like Meat Society Convention or something like that, where all the big dons of big ag, whatever, of the meat industries and stuff sort of meet up together at like this bullshit yearly conference or whatever.
Right.
And like one of the big dons from that, he said outright, social media is like our biggest enemy when it comes to the meat industry.
Right.
So they know they've got a battle. We've got a battle on our hands, but they've got a hell of a battle on their hands as well. So it's going to be a bit of a war, but...
That's true. I mean, and you reminded me just then, I think the last thing that I'll mention is Woody Harrelson put out a message a while ago. It's kind of like a plea to people. And he said, very much similar to what you're saying, that there is a big corporate agenda that wants to further these industries, obviously there's so much money tied up in these industries, and taking that away and putting everyone on a plant-based diet is going to sort of take the table out from underneath them and really severely cut their profits. But if the people demand plant-based products and want everything vegan, and then companies will be forced to unplug from the meat production industry, cut their losses, and then plug into a plant-based advertising scheme. They can start marketing these different products based around veganism. So if we, as the consumers, stick to our guns, so to speak, we will force the corporations to change their marketing schemes and their products that they produce.
Absolutely. We control the corporations. The corporations don't control us.
Yeah.
Some people let the corporations control them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, too much of society lets the corporations tell them what to eat and fearmonger them into buying their product. So I guess corporations do control us to an extent, as in they are at the moment winning that battle.
Well, it's very much like the carrot on the stick. You've got the rider on the donkey. The donkey's going wherever it wants to go, but the guy on top is controlling where it goes with the carrot.
Yeah, exactly. But the actual reality is we do have the power to control the corporation. The corporation don't exist without our money.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do everything in their power, absolutely everything, to stop the videos we share of animal cruelty and slaughterhouses and stuff from getting out. They're going to do everything in their power to stop real science from getting out there, telling you that meat gives you heart disease and cancer, and eggs give you certain cancers, and milk gives you diabetes, and whatever it is. They're going to do everything in their power to stop those things. But we have the truth on our side, and
truth always wins.
The truth, well, yeah, at least in the good movies.
Well, and in the long run, I believe inevitably, we will get there. And it's like Gandhi said with anything, people, they fight you, or no, they laugh at you, then they fight you, then
First
you win, or
you,
something
along
those
lines.
lines.
You win.
Yeah.
yeah, great quote.
I'll just wrap up there, and I'll say thank you very much for your time, and you've been a great guru as always. So thank you very much, and we'll continue this struggle towards spreading the word of veganism.
Thanks, and cheers.
Take care.
Cheers, bye-bye.